Your next fighter, please put your hands together. For Rasheed, the Predator,
Rasheed, the Predator, or hailing out of Grandmaster Bay's Motor City Satin Panthers. We got the big boys in the cage actually, and I'm pretty excited for this matchup. He's going against a very gang Martin Lucaj. Sorry if I pronounced the name wrong. Only has 2 fights with no losses, and I remember the last show he fought a very game Rob the Hooligan Taylor, and he beat him too, which is a very good win.
Seven more fights, 1 heavyweight qualifier, 6 championship fights. It's been an excellent, action-packed night of fights thus far. We're going to be treated to 7 more bouts. Looking forward to it. How you feeling, Drew Murray?
Very good, actually. We got the big boys in the cage tonight. The heavyweights.
Yeah, these guys are going to be throwing bombs. We got Rasheed, the Apex Predator, Oruche, with an impressive record of 9-6.
Going against Martin Lucaj.
I think that's Lucaj. Lucaj. I'm not 100% sure on that. Irregardless, we got another Lucaj weighing in at, he is
2-0.
2-0, 245 pounds. Rasheed, the Apex Predator, 255 pounds. These are some big boys.
I don't think Cage can hold that much.
WXC isn't too cheap. I'm pretty sure the Cage can hold these guys, but these are some big boys.
I hope so.
Put your hands together for Martin Lucaj.
And here we go. We got Martin representing Michigan top team.
He's got a stable of some of the best up-and-coming amateur mixed martial artists in the
Some of the best pros, too.
And that's a great point, Drew. Some of the best trainers. They've been training with some quality guys, both in terms of stand-up and in the ground game. Martin's sure to be an impressive figure.
Yeah, he got somebody in his corner tonight that we have not yet gave a shout out. It's Jason the Finisher Fisher, Bellator, King of the Cage veteran, absolute badass. I'm telling you. Jason is one of the most complete fighters we have in Michigan, and he is a great guy.
And having a guy like that of that caliber in your cage is going to give you a upper hand when it comes to the fight game.
The contest is proudly being brought to you by New Breed Nutrition. It's time for your WXC formal introductions. Introducing your fighters. First, fighter to my right. Tonight, he is out of the blue corner. Wearing the black trunks, comes to us at 6 feet 1 inch tall, weighing 250 solid pounds. Putting his 9-6 record on the line for the Motor City Satin Panthers. Training under Grandmaster Bay, Rasheed, the Apex Predator. Jericho. His opponent across the cage, man to my left. Tonight, he is out of the red corner. Wearing the black trunks, he comes to us 6 feet 4 inches tall, weighing 245 pounds, putting his 20-2 record on the line here tonight for Michigan Top Team, training with Jason Fisher and Darren Cruikshank. Sponsored by Detroit Evolution, Martin Lucaj. Say hello to Stefani and your referee in charge of the action, Danny McIntyre.
The Apex Predator is not only the IDC heavyweight champion, but also the EFF heavyweight champion. So this guy comes in with some high quality credentials. Lucaj coming from Michigan Top Team with the likes of you just mentioned Jason Fisher, Darren Cruikshank. This is definitely set to be a competitive and action-packed bout. Oh,
most definitely. I got had the pleasure of watching Martin his last fight going against Rob Hooligan Taylor, and he fought a veteran, They announced him as 20-2. That's a false misprint. He's actually 2-0. He came in at 1-0 against Hooligan, and Hooligan has been in the game with probably 40-plus fights, and he went out there and looked impressive in a unanimous decision victory. And this guy's got some game, decent boxing, good footwork. So I'm excited for this fight,
Yeah, 20-2 and 2-0 are drastically different things.
Yeah.
The Apex Predator coming in, swinging wildly. He's got to be careful.
The Apex turning the tide a little bit, working a nice little clinch body work game. Martin blings right back.
So many guys focus on their striking, but I think if there's a common element that we've seen thus far this night is that the grappling aspect, whether it be wrestling, working from the clinch, dirty boxing, seems to be, at least at this amateur level, the most important base to a successful mixed martial artist.
I agree. The thing is about these the amateur style cages, they're so small. These are usually only 18-foot, about 18-foot cages. That is a smaller, compact, opposed to professional cages are often 32 or a little bit smaller cages, which is a lot more room to work.
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point.
Not at the times you're going to find yourself with your back against the cage, or not many amateurs fight in the middle of the cage, especially on an 18-foot cage, because you don't have that much room to fight.
Most definitely, that's a great point. And not only that, these guys, being at the amateur level, most don't necessarily have the footwork to cut angles to make that use every single inch of that 18-foot cage.
Absolutely. A lot of the problem is these amateurs, they have a problem of when they're getting out of the way of strikes, they go straight backwards. They don't work the angle to the side. Yeah, that's one of the first things that you're going to learn in a boxing gym is the importance of angles. And angles, it's applicable in jiu-jitsu. As you get to the higher level, you can't attack a guy straight on. You got to get to the angle, put him in positions where they're weak and you're strong, and attack from there. And the same thing applies in boxing. The same thing applies in wrestling as well. The idea of putting your opponent in a vulnerable position while you're in a strong position. Oh, absolutely. I agree. That's a very good point you make. But that's the first thing I learned when I come into a boxing gym, was, you don't go straight back. You work back angle. If I got an angle on somebody, I have the advantage. I'm not going to – I'd rather attack you at an angle than attack you straight on. Not a bad first round, not much happened, but –
difficult to score.
Definitely, because there wasn't many exciting stages, but – I don't know to even give the nod to it on that one, to be honest.
I think the true, determinant of this fight are going to be these next couple of rounds.
Well, without a doubt. Miss Kayla Wall as the ring girl. Representing at Woodhaven. That's your stomping grounds.
Yeah, Woodhaven, Michigan. Shout out. Warriors. Quality public school system.
Oh, boy. Anyways, back to the action. like we pointed out earlier, you know, it's great to have a corner as talented as Martin has. You know, you like touch on this again. Jason Fisher, Bellator vet, King of the Cage vet, Darren Crookshank, UFC vet, Cody Stamen. You know, I mean,
as a guy with only 2 fights, it's got to be reassuring. It's got to be comforting to have somebody with that type of experience behind you, guiding you as you go out to do battle.
Absolutely, I would have my ears wide open. Just listen to everything they say in this one.
Well, that's a great point, but one of the things that you see is a lot of things that fighters struggle with. Oh, big right hand is that fighters struggle with actually listening to what their corner, the instruction their corner is trying to give them.
You know, and I agree. You know, another thing that fighters have a problem with is that, like, when their corners tell them to do something, they do it right then. Do you not think that your opponent hears the same thing you're hearing? You know, when my corner tells me to do something, I call it put it in your back pocket. I'll save it for later. I'll remember what I did to cause that to happen. I'll save it for later, then go back later and try it again. And then do what my corner told me to.
And that's a great point. It's interesting, too, coming from, like, a sport like mixed martial arts. We have such a diverse pool of fighters from different countries. Perhaps, you know, something to think about is, you know, the language barrier and how that potentially could play, you know, a slight advantage. Mike Pedinelli, matchmaker, wants action, folks.
Definitely Michael's making it very hard for me to hear over here.
Sorry about that, Drew.
I'm not gonna. Thank you, Mike.
I get a little excited.
Make my job, make me work a little bit for my money here.
Hey. Mr. Pedinelli's put on an excellent, arranged an excellent card of fight. So
I would say this is definitely his top 3 that I've seen. Fight cards.
Without a doubt.
Push it.
Action packed.
Push it for probably a good second first.
Wait for the grand finale.
And the crazy thing is, we haven't even seen a title fight yet, and we have 6.
I know. This is like foreplay is what this is.
Back to the fight. You know, neither guy seems to have the advantage. Both guys seem to try to measure each other. That was a pretty athletic move for a big fella by the Apex Predator.
For sure, but you know what? Back in the measuring, guys, it's the middle of the second round. The measuring should be done by now.
And especially when we're talking about 3 rounds, it's not like, you know, for instance, like in a boxing fight, I'm going to fight in a boxing match. You got 12 rounds depending on the level of fighters to fill a guy out. It's not the level of a chess match that fight would be, or a 5-round, 5-minute title bout. It's contextual. You got to take into consideration the amount of rounds and the length of the rounds as well.
You got 3 rounds. You know, you got 9 minutes. That's not a long time at all.
No, not at all.
Rasheed exchanging. There we go.
Big shots.
We got some blood coming from, looks like Martin's eye. Martin's eye is cut. Nice cut above his eyebrow, I see. Not a bad
down,
round.
1 to go. You know, these guys have had an ability to keep a pretty high pace despite the size. And Martin has a nasty cut on that left eye. Jason Fisher and the doctors attending to it. Doesn't seem to be in a bad spot, so it shouldn't affect his vision, but nonetheless, something that's definitely going to be in the back of his mind.
So, Josh, real quick, let's get to the listeners at home a little bit more info about yourself. Tell them a little about yourself, who you are, where you come from.
I've grown up the majority of my life in southeastern Michigan. Been around the mixed martial arts game for about roughly 10 years. Train at Courageous Mixed Martial Arts. Outside of having a passion for mixed martial arts and jiu-jitsu, I'm a high school history teacher. Oh, and that fight's actually stopped because of the cut.
Wow.
I thought it was a bad cut, but I think it was bad enough to stop the fight. I didn't think it was actually going to block his vision. But again, we're talking amateur mixed martial arts who want to protect these fighters. WXC who wants to ensure that these fighters have a long career to ensure that, listen, you don't get cut so bad in the, you know, in your amateur career that it thwarts your ability to be an effective pro fighter. So, you know.
I'm not sure who stopped that fight. Was it referee Danny McIntyre?
I to be completely honest, I'm going to assume because it was a cut that came from the doctor, but I'm not 100% sure. I did not see who actually called it. Kind of an anticlimactic end to that heavyweight qualifier bout. But nonetheless, both men showed some poise. Both men showed they had some tools. And we'll be sure to see both of these guys back in the WXC cage. Be interesting to see how the Predator, the Apex Predator, does in his title shot.
Before round 3 could begin, our contender in the red corner could not continue. Therefore, your winner by TKO, Rasheed, the Apex Predator, Oracle.